Hello, everyone, and welcome on back for some WSSEA Smash action here. Week 7 on the horizon here. We got two great teams slated up for the entire slaughter. It's going to be Naches up against John R. Rogers School. D'Lo here in the booth, joined by Anthony. Right by my side, almighty eye in the sky. Bugman, a.k.a. Taylor. Keep the prod lights on, that cam steady. And you, watching at home. Anthony, how are we feeling?
I'm feeling good, and I acknowledge the look over this time. I'm actually looking at my Magic the Gathering collection. That's you today. Yeah, you look handsome. I spent a lot of money on you. That's how I'm feeling when I look over to the side. I'm feeling fantastic, D'Lo. My second week here on LANFest. Last week, I feel like I got to get a very gentle introduction to the teams and the kind of players and the play that we're going to see. So this week, I'm looking for some more explosive action.
Yeah, man, I just got hot off the heels of playing some more Smash earlier today with my students, and I gotta say, wasn't impressed. So I'm looking for some more. We gotta raise the bar here a little bit, fill my quota. And there's only one way to do that. It's by first bringing up our, of course, amazing sponsors, Zotac Gaming. Hey, everyone! We're gonna give you a huge shout-out to Zotac Gaming for powering today's stream. Thanks to their incredible support, we're able to bring this broadcast to all of you, helping to showcase the amazing talent in this classic esport. You can show your appreciation for Zotac Gaming by giving them a shout out on social media. Make sure to join their community on the Discord, and don't forget to use hashtag powered by Zotac or hashtag ZotacUSA when you post.
It's covered by tattoos, but I have goosebumps from the die-cast metal.
Appreciate that. What can I say? Well, Zotac, very passionate about that, very passionate as well about some good Smash action. So like you said, Anthony, we got introduced kind of like a little speed ramp, and now we're starting to lift off. The jet's off the runway now, and what I am hoping for, since last time around, it was a bit of a sweep. It was a bit of domination. One game was gotten off against the opponent, but beyond that, it was nary a whisper from the enemy. So hopefully this time around, a bit more even keel.
I'm with you. I feel like a big thing that we consistently saw was, and you mentioned this is something that becomes pretty common for players who are just getting used to the competitive scene in Smash, is that players were a little bit trepidatious and trying to get control of center stage and then move that towards covering the edge. They got way too focused on getting stuck in the middle of the map and getting themselves just kind of bounced around like a pinball. Then you lose that control on the edge that allows you to go for the win and make the big plays.
The big thing I'm always telling any of my students, the moment they knock someone off stage, I yell, I say, "Presiónala!" Pressure them. I instantly yell that you need to run up and actually make sure to give some fear. But I will say another aspect that we saw, that maybe you don't need pressure if your enemy just keeps SDing. Another big focus we need to look at is, are you able to consistently recover back to stage? Because if not, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So will you be if you let this croc get their claws around you. Sheik, not a very common character, up against the big bad reptile.
I was just going to mention that. Not somebody who I, came across too much and prepping for the homework for this one, but maybe that means, like we saw last week a couple of times as well, that'll be some of the most talented play and maybe some of the most combo play. But early on, D'Lo looking for that neutral control that you were pressing on so heavy. Already it kind of seems like Advantage is making itself quickly known.
King K. Rool is being operated here by Naches player Star, whereas unfortunately John Rogers walked the plank. Tio there gets the first SD. Everyone, unfortunately, might have cast his curse just a little bit, but the reason why you're seeing that advantage, Anthony, is because she has to work so much for any damage she wants to get off. She can hit you with 1,000 cuts, but when you have a belly armor as thick as the plating this K. Rool's got, it's really not going to leave a scratch.
I recently got very strong advice from a local commentator who does some traditional sports, and it applies here, D'Lo. If we could control what happens in the game, we're not getting paid enough. So the caster curse, maybe, but they should also take your lessons and apply that to get that difference made. And you're kind of seeing that already. The pressure and aggression ever since that SD has been a little bit stronger out, and maybe that's how you make your difference, but still getting quite a bit knocked around.
Up throw comes out, the big old backbreaker. Sheik, not the delicate flower you might expect. Certainly still takes a punch. But the issue is, especially since this is the first match, right? Keep in mind, folks, there's going to be 5 1v1s here today, and bottom of the ladder means, in theory, bottom skill level. Sheik is not a character that you can just kind of pick up and easily play, but you can pick her up and easily throw her away. A back throw takes a second stock.
Yeah, same thing happens to me when I go hang out at parties. I'm just, I'm the little guy. I'm fun to toss around.
Like Gimli.
You've seen the same thing. Yeah, like Gimli. Like, go ahead and toss me, but don't tell the F.
You can have my axe. You can have my blunderbuss. Right now, just kind of a bit of emotes being thrown each way, so... All right, we can dance.
The one on the left I've seen you do.
I'm very acrobatic, you see. But nonetheless, we need to see some of those being applied on the ledge, and there it's going to be. The down B bomb actually does find the kill, so at the very least, we're getting something.
Star it seems so confident and comfortable, which to me, especially at these lower tiers, as we were talking about last week, the more comfortable you are, just the plain stronger you look. My goodness, the control! It's a call game there for Star. That was so clean.
I am concerned. I'm concerned in the sense that if this is their bottom player for Naches, they've got some pretty good movement. They've got some pretty good movement. They were going for back air spikes consistently off stage. They were pressuring, and that, again, is one of the biggest differences. Especially as a K rule, you have a lot of tools to ledge trap someone, and they were not letting their opponent, Tio, get up from ledge onto stage without at least eating an extra couple 10%. They were making sure that they continued to pressure. They were making sure that they never got anything for... Again, Sheik's not a character who really gets free damage. You have to work for every little bit. And in order to maximize and optimize her, you really want to know her combo trees. So, in theory, this matchup, it's definitely not great, but it doesn't have to be the worst. In the context, though, of the bottom of the bracket, the bottom of the ladder, it starts to look a bit more rough on the side for Tio.
I've been quoting traditional sports today, so I'll do it again for NV Esports. Even Barry Bonds batted ninth once, and that's kind of the vibe they're bringing. But that kind of gives me a question, D'Lo, while we have some downtime before we go into our next game. As someone who, as you've mentioned it before, last week and already today on broadcast, who teaches and works with same thing, Scholastic Esports, Smash. What are some of the characters you usually point to as starting points, maybe for someone at home who's looking to play with somebody who's been getting through these rounds here in LANFest and want to get more involved? What are some good starter characters to look at and maybe easier to learn that we can even come across today?
Yes, no, it's a fantastic question. I always encourage students to try to attach yourself to one character while you learn the fundamentals. Of course, everyone, has different goals for esports. Not everyone wants to soar to the top of the leaderboard. So, hey, at the end of the day, play who really gives you joy, who sparks joy in your heart. But if you are looking for kind of that easy ramp to try to lift off, get those wheels off the tarmac, Mario, of course, is very basic. We all know the red plumber for a reason. And in the game as well, he is pretty mechanically easy to grasp. However, I would always recommend a character with multiple jumps in the sense that Kirby just makes recovery a bit more of a breeze. That being said, the potential pitfall if you take a character with multiple jumps is that when you decide to adapt to characters that do not have that gift, it might become a bit more difficult. So it depends. Are you looking for the short-term gain? Kirby is certainly a good place to go. If you're looking for more long-term understanding of the fundamentals, a character like Mario is pretty easy breezy to pick up.
So now that that's in my notepad, we can talk game at hand, which a little bit of the same, but a bit of a shakeup as well. I did not expect to see the little guy pull on through. That's all I can call him. Every time I play Pokemon.
I'm a big fan of Pichu, dude. This is actually a lot more fun, in my opinion, for the Pichu player as well. Not in the sense that you're one of the lightest characters in the game, and this crocodile is absolutely swinging. Another unfortunate SD comes out there for Tio. At the very least, though, your formula, your flowchart is a lot more simple as Pichu. Has some surprisingly powerful attacks, but so is that back air. Does not find the spike and actually lifts him back up. K-Rool tries to humiliate him just to send him back up the stage.
I was going to say, that looks really clean, just kind of for the wrong reasons. Now, looking at the Pichu, I feel like the hardest thing already we're seeing is just being able to get a footing on this one. Because you've talked about trying to get control on the edge, but in this case, you can't get comfortable center. You can't find control at the edge. You go to the edge to contest, and you're getting knocked around. Somehow, some way, you've got to get yourself established, but before that can happen, Star's going to send you flying.
I mean, the big thing as well is Smash at its core is a rock, paper, scissors game. You know, attack beats grab, grab beats shield, and shield beats attack. And it seems that this Pichu is playing with less tools in the arts and crafts box. They seem to really only have the attacks down. Great fundamental, of course. It's oftentimes the first thing a player is going to learn, but right now, you see his K-Rool, they're reacting with that shield every time. This Pichu has not gone for a single grab, and instead tries to go up to an inopportune moment. King K. Rool's going to flatten him beneath that belly. Naches takes it in a sweep.
I salute you, Pichu. At least on the way out, you look super cute and adorable. You know, that's always a plus for old guy.
Not as much when your head's being caved in. Sorry.
Okay, yes, but, you know, somehow, some way...
Still adorable.
You got that one. I stopped myself. I was going to say, like, what do you think it would taste like? Because I've had a Pikachu popsicle, and that's where my brain was going. But I was like, that seems mean. Like, we're not cooking Pichu today.
I remember those.
I digress.
With the gumballs in the like.
Yes,
eyes.
with the gumballs for eyes. I'm so happy you remember that.
Yeah.
So that's our first game done. I feel like we had a pretty good idea of the trajectory of at least our early games last week. Do you feel similar this week that we're seeing already kind of how strong Star and company can stand over on the other side?
I mean, there are teams that just have a large leap between players, though I feel like that the rungs are typically pretty evenly spaced out. And then sometimes at the very top, you'll have someone who's just like an absolute legend. So, yeah, I'm going to be truthful in the sense that I think Naches has a really solid chance to just kind of light them up. Rangers versus Pirates, you know? You can tell clearly who's got the more modern technology. Sometimes gunpowder beats swashbucklers.
Next up for NV Esports, it's going to be Raptor, and for John R. Rogers, it's going to be... I've read this 5 times, and the dyslexia is really hurting me. I'm going to say Insipted and hope that that's correct, and I'm not missing a magical R if it's not there. Because, you know, that's
You're
just
on it. You got it.
My day. I'm going to trust you, but I'm still going to doubt myself internally. That's our next matchup. Should be a fun one. I'm looking for some more variety. I feel like so far with you, I've gotten to see a lot of surprising picks, but oddly enough, since we've been casting these last couple of weeks together, I haven't gotten to see any of the top prio dominant meta picks.
Well, Minecraft Steve, I'm not sure if actually he's banned with SEA, but again, a character that requires...
Yeah, I'm pretty used to that.
A decent amount of technical finesse, which, you know, again, at Scholastic Esports level, it's not a character that you can have a lot of transferable skills to. Same with Kazuya. Kazuya is an amazing demon of a character at the top level, at the top tiers, but do you really want to spend the time to master it when you're just starting to really enter into the competitive esports scene? It's such a high barrier for entry. So, again, if you're a parent, if you're a coach, if you're another student just considering picking up and playing in competitive esports for Smash, I'd say start with something you can build more solid fundamentals on. At the end of the day, it's like Pokemon. You can, sure, decide to tier pick and soar to the top that way, but if you're not playing the characters that you love, are you really playing the game?
Give me the Dragon teams. I'm that guy. I'm sorry to say. Also worth noting, there are no character bans in CS, so that is worth keeping an eye on as we continue through. So it could be that Steve, you know, that's not an impossibility. Crazy enough, because I know I at my wedding I remember hearing you. It wasn't to me. Quote, thankfully, hearing you go on a rant for a good 5 minutes about Steve. So maybe it's for the best of everybody at home watching to support their player, but that isn't the case. But here we go, another game.
It might not be the Steve we mentioned, but it is a different character we just talked about. Kazuya. Anthony's got the maroon suit looking like you.
Oh, I know. Making me feel... Give me a blush, D'Lo. God, relax. The game just started. We got a long way to go.
Yeah, you rocked it
on the other side, it's going to be Cloud, too. I rocked it better? See, now I'm really honored. But it's a good matchup. It's the good taste in suits versus the great character from a great game. I talked about that last week when we saw the Sephiroth come through. But Cloud already having a tough time getting, again, comfortable, just stuck on the edge and getting comboed out, but finds a good combo themselves.
As far as the fashion goes, it is actually interesting that both of them are choosing very flowy, draping kind of clothing. Probably not very efficient for actually the movement they're trying to execute, but so far doing a pretty good, darn good job of it. All aura, all limit for this Cloud, all demon engine now for this Kazuya. If they find the grab, it's going to be curtains, and that is not a good way to start things off. Does not find the appropriate punish, though. The fact that both these characters kind of have that DLC factor to watch out for is definitely scary between Cloud's limit and that demon engine that's now ticking for the Kazuya. One grab and Cloud's done.
And I was going to say the Raptor for NV Esports holding on well, keeping control on that side, trying to keep that pressure out as Devo's talked about, but does get kicked around. This could do it, but instead actually seemingly getting comfortable the further along we're going, but now are you stuck?
Got limit now, climb hazard, and the demon engine's offline for Kazuya. A run-up dash grab. Cloud is faster now with that blue aura radiating around them, and it's going to be one last climb hazard. Sends him skyward. I'm liking this. I've got to say, Anthony, you kind of got my bluff called here. Oh, wait, all right, never mind. That was an unfortunate SD. Nonetheless, there is that jump. John R. Rogers is Kazuya. moving pretty well, flowing like water.
Gets the grab and decides to try to go through it, but I'm with you. You know, talking about calling the bluff, I feel like the further and further along that game went, Cloud just looked better and better, but now you have to kind of reestablish yourself. You can't fall into the same problems that we saw before. Maybe if you can get some kind of combination on the edge again, but instead get stuck a bit and can't seem to get that same footing we saw before.
Cross slash. The shield. Holding shield may be a bit too long, and that's going to be a potential shield break opportunity. Instead, they went for it. They knew the opportunity was there, but they reacted a bit too slow. Shield is going to be very important in this matchup. This Kazuya, unfortunately, does not have the optimized combos down that can just 0 to death you. But, of course, you're very grateful for that if you're Raptor here. But these climb hazards, man, these up Bs, you really got to make sure you use them in the opportune moments because you can easily get punished for them.
It goes to what you talked about with the complications of the character and taking the risk of playing it here and maybe not being able to utilize all the strengths. But so far, those WrestleMania haymakers are working out, and it gets them another stock.
Shabby. Not too shabby at all, and especially if another SD comes out. Okay. That's unfortunate, to say the least. Nachi's going to eat 2 SDs for their trouble, and it is the Kazuya who reigns supreme. Who says tier picking's not best?
So, you talked about SDs being the problem that you want to see avoided by these players today. Last week, we saw it be a consistent problem in every single game that we watched, unfortunately. We're going to basics today. It's summer camp with D-Lo right before summer begins. What are the basics to working out and kind of ironing out some of the issues that revolve around getting stuck being a player who can easily SD themselves? What are some of the fluid fundamentals you can find and utilize to get cleaner in that regard to your gameplay?
So I'd say the big thing is retaining your jump. I think we touched on this a while ago. If you're hit, retain your jump. Don't panic is also a big thing. I think a lot of times you see a lot of button mashing go down the moment you're put into vulnerability, into hit stun. So in that sense, if you get hit, I don't want to see you mash an air dodge. I want you to assess the situation. Is someone close to me? Am I in immediate mortal danger? If not, take some time. Float a little bit.
I don't see anybody over there.
Bingo. Me neither.
Oh,
so
you're down there.
There it is. Take some time to just, drift back down, and then you can utilize your resources as necessary. Save your jumps, though. Always save your jumps. Your jump is your most valuable resource, and use it at the opportune moment where it's necessary to return back to ledge. The other advice I'd give, don't be afraid to go to ledge. Even though ledge can be scary since someone could just keep you trapped on there, as we've seen happen before, it's also the easiest means of getting back safely. If you try to just land right on top of the stage where your opponent's waiting, that could be dangerous as well. Now it's a bit of a change-up here, though. Kazuya's gone. Here comes the Inkling.
So we've kind of touched on and talked about mobility so far today. Well, it looks like already there's an anime aura farm going on, but there is just no touching for this Cloud allowed. Finally, getting the first hit in Badilla. That was a crazy start.
All right, John Rogers going to keep up the combo pressure, but the question is where do you get your kills? It's from that right there, but not if you miss the F smash. An up smash, though, will get them out. Unfortunately, you just didn't have a quick enough mash to get out of the berry. They should have really tried to make sure they're getting out from the ground. That paint roller is going to be such an important kill confirm for Salandit to get their guns.
I just can't get over that start we saw. I thought for a minute I might see my first straight up perfect win come out because there was so much mobility on top of the combos coming through, but Cloud was able to get some hits in, and maybe now that helps you get your first stock up. Maybe you play a safer game too, which is the big thing, D-Lo. We talked a lot about those SDs. But instead, this is the problem we saw before, just kind of getting stuck trying to do too much on the middle of the stage, and that'll turn into another SD to go down another stock.
That's just rough, man. Yeah, they're not recovering high enough. They're utilizing that up B a bit quickly. And they also had to turn around. Learning the B reverse as well, that's a bit more complex of a technique, but it is important. Nonetheless, sipped it. Doing a really solid job. I love the way they've been predicting the movement of Raptor with these paint grenades. Well, they make sure to keep that ink gun strapped. They make sure to keep the pack filled. And this Cloud's having a really hard time touching him, especially considering the fact that Inkling's such a light character. 178 is kind of crazy.
I'm shocked at the idea of bringing the ink gun to a sword fight and the ink gun just running away with it to this extent. Cloud has all those magical abilities to beat guns in the lore, but not this time. Instead, he's getting covered in the color pink and simply can't see through the ink. What a play there.
Nice berry, but no follow-up. Maybe a bit of toying with their food before they finish off the meal. Back here against the field, but he's trying to get one kill off. Finally, we do.
Finally.
That was a down tilt that gets the job done. Not clean, but it's at least a start. Question is, though, how do we get more tacked on? I need to see this Cloud get some good early up air strings.
Looks like Cloud's changing their spacing, trying to make a difference there, D'Lo, but it might be too little too late already with that percentage already getting higher and higher. And now on the edge, getting stuck down, and that'll do it.
You know what's tragic about that? The Inkling hit Cloud, gave him his limit, which increases the length of that climb hazard, that up B, but he had already used it, so he just already had expended every resource left. And the reason why he couldn't recover there, his jump got snuffed out. They used it too hastily, where a forward air was able to catch it, and that means you don't have it again until you land or you die. They chose the latter.
A tough end, too, especially where it seemed like the longer a game could go, that's where Cloud was getting the most comfortable, but that time it seemed like yes, as you mentioned, the longer a game goes, the Inkling just kind of unbothered by it, gets to do all the same things and take advantage of being a little bit lighter to get through it. And it turned into, it almost felt like the adjustment was, oh, if I just put them in an uncomfortable position, they're going to have problems properly escaping and saving themselves. So why would I try super hard to do all these complex combos on stage when I could just force them to end the game themselves?
Yeah,
being
honestly. If you recognize that a player's weakness is recovery, throw them off. Let them kind of find the means to disassemble their own game plan, and at that point, you're kind of just chilling. You're sipping Mai Tais on the beach. You're good. So hopefully we can see, again, as we move up this ladder, can we find someone from Naches who's able to consistently recover back and make their game plan on the stage their focus? Because so far, it's been a lot of them just trying to battle to get even a foot onto terra firma. Now we have an interesting character that actually really hates being off stage. So I really hope that this player knows how to keep those feet planted.
And this time for NV Esports, it's going to be Ink Times, and for John R. Rogers, it'll be mellow. We'll see how mellow the plays can be, or if they're a little bit more rash, because off to the start, both players looking to be explosive for sure. Right. One of the quicker starts we've seen, already getting one off, but where's that edge control you were looking for?
Yes! Literally was just about to say, in my head, I'm like, Presiónala! Pressure them! You're retaining center stage.
Pressure!
And unfortunately, jump got stuffed out. Anthony, one stock already done.
Now I'm starting to feel like you. You know what, next time, just call me from class and I'll add the pressure, but a good answer back, and brings us back to even Stevens and at that neutral territory to start this one off. So where do we look for next, D'Lo? How do you kind of change up the pacing when you've had such a quick start? How do you get that tempo back in your favor?
I'm curious to see what this Little Mac does when they have stage control. Okay, what are you going to do? Up smash. That might be working right now, Malum, but it's not a good omen for the future because it becomes predictable pretty quickly. It also becomes punishable even quicker. KO punch, though. What can you do with that? Shield will not work, but an F smash certainly does. Best defense is a good offense.
And that offense was certainly offensive, especially if you're wearing a pink hoodie today. But right back, there's an answer. Kapow! Kapang! Away you go.
Body blow for body blow. It's a haymaker for haymaker battle, but the issue is this Roy is batting with the lead. Nice neutral B. Put them on their back end. Counter is going to get countered with the dash attack, and now it's even bounce again. Both these players are incredibly aggressive. I have not seen the grab button hit even once.
I was going to make that my call out. They look so aggressive. There hasn't exactly been pressure every time you've wanted it, but in terms of not being afraid to fight, an uppercut just like that. There was no fear, and that's how you make the play happen. Wow.
KO punch, man. It does.
I felt that one in my soul.
To do. It hurts. It definitely hurts. And the fact that this Roy was not keeping Little Mac at an appropriate enough length, they were in a sense respecting the KO punch and that they were playing very scared. But when they have a KO punch, you actually have to do the opposite because that meter, once you see it filled up, starts blinking. KO.
Right.
That means you should be saying, oh no.
That's
what can I do to stop that? You hit them. If you hit Little Mac once, if there's a 5-second delay, and then if you hit Little Mac into a state where he goes into what's called tumble, where he starts to free fall, that eliminates the KO punch completely. If you let Little Mac have all the room in the world, though, to just kind of run up there and sock you in the jaw, well, sure, he's going to do that instead. Shields don't work. Counters don't work. Run from it. Dread it. Destiny comes all the same. Game 3.
If you hear the alarm going off in the Death Star, do not stop at the water fountain. Just go to the escape pod. I feel like that's the Gen X translation, perhaps. shout out to my dad, who always needs one in the right scholastic esports moments. But new game, fresh mindset, D'Lo.
It also would be a really fresh start here for Naches to finally get something on the board. You've seen the scoreboard here. It's John R. Rogers with 4 already. I don't think this is curtains if Naches can't get this, but it's dang near it. And a lack of a jolt haymaker there. SD could have used the side B instead, but goes for the vertical option when it was really horizontal distance they needed to make.
But usually he's able to respond very quickly, get a strong answer back, and get a stock right back. This time, though, that's not the case. Instead, kind of getting stuck flat-footed center stage. How's the recovery this time? No good.
Didn't reverse the up B, so just kind of went sailing in the wrong direction. So this time you didn't even need to get it done yourself, but completely even at this point around. So it really just kind of matters who gets the first stock quicker, and then who's able to find that big body blow. It's F smash for F smash. You're seeing these really big swipes come out, and that means that counters become more scary to use, but also more valuable. Right. At the right time, it can easily double the damage that you're trying to launch them. Here comes that KO punch.
And there's the Death Star alarm. So what's your play here? How do you respond to it? Instead, you get caught and sent to the stratosphere.
Again, you got to play aggressive, but you also can't play too committal. You want to use small moves that easily are able to recover from their lag to hit and set out a salvo of shots. There's a good counter, the dash attack, and once again, back to even keel.
It seems like these two players really have an answer for each other, and it's one of those times where it's the fire and ice that you can come across in moments like this, but now the control on the side. No SD, not quite this moment. Oh, but D'Lo, this is where you get nervous. You can feel it in the air.
Look at the clashes here. Just forward smash for forward smash. Counter for sword smash.
That's the recovery.
This time around, gonna launch the roll off stage. Do not challenge that, please. Down smash armors through the get-up attack, and now, once again, pressure is on here for Mello.
How do you get through it? You don't.
Ouch. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go up against Little Mac. That did look like a punch below the belt, though. I don't know if the doc was watching, but refs certainly didn't have their eyes on that. Right? That's what I'm saying. Feel it, though. Talking about fresh starts earlier, Anthony, Naches now finally get a lease on life. They get on the board.
Yep.
Immensely important to keep their heads in the game, because even though no matter what, we're always going to play through all 5, it feels good to know there's stakes attached to your match as well.
Yes, first time I've gotten to see the stakes be attached, and that is the big thing. And also, like, what it does, not just for the literal points on the board, but as you kind of touched on, what it actually does for morale, and just the comfort of, okay, now I get to play a little more free and loose, because when we go into the next matchup, my team actually has got stuff on the board. Everything doesn't rely on me to have a perfect game in this instance. I can play a little bit more confident, play a little bit more loose. A lot of times, and in Scholastic Esports in particular, you'll see that confidence correlates directly to the results more than you would see at any other level of esports, even at the highest professional level. So you have to keep that confidence rolling as much as you would momentum, or try to capture it the same way you would capture, say, adrenaline in a traditional sports game.
Oh, of course, dude. If you win these games, man, if Naches takes the comeback, then they can tell everyone at the lunch table, yeah, see me on the stream? That was me.
Yeah.
I was that little...
I almost showed my age. I was going to say I'm going in with, like, you know, like a highlight, like, you know, saved on my phone or something. I was like, oh, you kids going to show the whole clip. They don't have to print out the copy of their results.
The stats. Yeah, guys,
check out my post game stats, and it's just like this long spreadsheet that nobody's gonna read.
A scroll unfurls, but nonetheless,
yes.
Whether or not your stats come digital or analog, it's still impressive to see that Naches are put up a good fight. John R. Rogers, I'm curious what the answer back is. We send one more up the ladder. Now it's ranked 2. No matter what, even though these games are actually quite a bit more competitive, they're still going by quick, actually. It's not really much of a slog fest whatsoever. Because of the unmitigated aggression being shown from both players on each side, it's kind of just been a blink and you'll miss it.
And our next players up are going to be Forgotten for NB Esports, and Solendit for John R. Rogers, who we've seen the name of the whole time so far, actually.
Represent Solendit. Funnily enough, they're going up against the reptile rather than being the reptile themselves. Also, you're not even a Pokemon. You're Zelda. Change your character. Makes no sense.
But the tunes are hidden. Can't see me headbanging at home, but trust me.
This is going to be an interesting matchup. I'm seeing a lot of projectiles. The last K-roll we saw, Anthony, was on the side of John R. Rogers and played a lot
They played more aggressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whereas
Look at me go. I'm doing good, boss.
Whereas this one, you can see relying a bit more on the crown. But now we're starting to see them show their teeth and claws. Unfortunately, get paid back with a boot to the back of the head. Zelda's aerials can be hard to hit, but when you get the sweet spot, man, do they do damage.
So off the kind of calm play, you would think they would utilize the spacing maybe to try to keep some distance away, but that's also not the case. She's doing a good job kind of controlling that happy medium, but could it get stuck now? And yeah, it's gonna
no!
Be, oh
no! You know, listen, that's a big crocodile, Anthony. That helicopter pack can only put in so much work.
I was gonna say you can only do so much to kind of get back up when you're that big of a dude. You know, it's like when a linebacker falls down and it takes the whole team to get him off the field.
Well, got him off the field that way with a big boxing glove to the head. But that was Zelda in this case. Oh, great up tilts, man. Just links into itself, and this is going to be combo food. King K. Rool is so spherical, so large, that these down throw and a back air confirms are very simple to hit. The get-up attack did hit the counter, but the hitbox from the counter does not find the mark. But can we pressure on the ledge? Presiónala!
Pressure, pressure, pressure! Send that Zelda to a ROM hack and change the genre, dude. Maybe that's what you want to do, but you have to slow the pacing down, got to play a little conservative, but like D-Lo's been yelling, maybe that pressure is your way back in, because now your conservatism has brought you down to a scary point. Could get stuck. Ooh. There's that control, and there's the hit onto the head top. We'll see you later.
Didn't fire alligator. You know, it's in a while, Crocodile. If they're going to come back, we'll see if they maybe change up the characters, because I will say, Zelda's not the most optimal matchup for a K-roll. She has Neryu's Love. You see that blue little diamond that she spins around with sometimes?
Yes.
That's actually not only is a damaging field, it's also a reflector. Now, it's not the easiest to apply since you have to time it well, but the fact that you just have an easy answer to K-roll does kind of make them have to second guess what they want to do. However, K-roll also has a reflector, so they could just, in theory, try to play that game. It's just not one that K-roll enjoys as much, especially since, again, because Zelda's aerials are hard to hit, having a large hurt box to go up against, it feels really solid. But it's going to be the same run back here. Zelda and K-roll return.
I did like the, I gotta give a quick shout out to the school logo for John R. Rogers. The purple pirate has me thinking of ECU in North Carolina. See, now I've got a sentimental favorite. Why did I do that to myself? I can't have sentimental favorites. Not just because I'm unbiased, because my feelings will get hurt.
Well, the only people going to get hurt right now are the ones on the field. A princess up against a king of darkness, but not Ganon. King K-rool instead. Far more evil. Far more diabolical.
Much quieter start.
Far more reptilian as well. The grab off the mark, the dash attack will find it. And you can see that this K-rool is realizing they have to adjust their play style. Because of that reflector, they're not using those projectiles anymore, but it's not really benefiting them. Amazing juggles coming out here from Salandit. Bye.
Still up, and we'll see ya. So I was going to say, D-Lo, they've read it perfect, and I'm glad I asked earlier about taking advantage of a player who seemingly isn't as comfortable in the art of recovery, but that time the recovery didn't matter because of the juggle, and we almost saw it again before, thankfully, the streak was broken and it got scarier. But there's so much to come back from, and there's a nice recovery this time from John R. Rogers.
Aurora's Wind is actually a really risky option there, but does get the job done. Again, man, you're overestimating how good that technology is, buddy. Go-Go Gadget Jetpack is not going to save you in every instance. You can't recover from that deep. But I understand what they were trying to do. They wanted to evade the projectile. Unfortunately, it sold their own life.
If you're on an antelope drinking by the river, I guess the technology just isn't there yet for the side of the croc. That just appears to be the instance. Another juggle, though, D-Lo. Oh, boy.
Oh. Tried to finish it with Aurora's Wind. Would have certainly made for a nice clip, but just didn't quite stick. Little pause here. Big spike to get the up air follow-up. No, maybe loses their nerve a little bit. Aurora's Wind, raw out of shield. Will not finish the kill, but it looked cool. Uh-oh.
Stalking the prey, hitting them up. Goodbye, indeed.
Yep. Another Aurora's Wind combo. I mean, this is exactly what we were mentioning earlier, Anthony, is that it might be your impulse to recover directly on the stage because you're like, man, things are not working out for me when I go to ledge. But let that lesson stay in your mind. Every single time you're thinking, what if I try to go directly back to stage? I want King K. Rool's frozen look of horror when she Aurora's Wind him to the sky to stick out in your mind. Because that's what's going to happen to you. You'll get very easily punished. So it was a great attempt there from the K. Rool. I think that matchup alongside the pedigree of our friend Salandit, a bit too much to bear. Jolly Rogers, or rather, John Rogers, take that one in spades.
Jolly Rogers, though, jolly good play, and Salandit looked incredibly comfortable. And I was hoping to see comfortable play from, the one who everyone's playing underneath. I was excited to see the namesake, and it paid off there. What was exciting to me, too, was, and we talked about this earlier, but as you go up those rungs, those tiers get higher and higher, getting to see players who just know their character and know that craft, that ebb and flow of what they're trying to accomplish. Because one thing that's already becoming super apparent to me is you have to have an end goal with the character you're selecting. You have to know not just one way to win the game, but how to defeat your opponent in a multitude of ways.
Yeah.
Which, as I come back from the ether of freezing there, my camera blinked at me and scared me half to death. That is I feel like the secret sauce is just finding the thing that makes you the most comfortable. It's like in other games that have items and things you can buy where we talk about comfort over meta.
Smash is a cool game. Whoa, hold on. Something else is going in. You're not the only one blinking. You're not the only one blinking, pal. Well, we'll hopefully get that fixed.
So this is our third caster, No Signal. Introduce yourself.
Nice. Big fan. I love TriCast, Unexpected. No Signal, what are your thoughts on this
down there.
amazing matchup?
What are you doing over there, little guy?
Your mic's muted, buddy. Rookie mistake.
Rookie mistake! It's a little button here on VMix, sir.
So here's the thing, is that Smash is a unique game in some instances when you look at esports as a whole. Because you're battling yourself, of course. The constant esports athlete struggle. You versus you, right? That's your greatest opponent. But also, you are low-key getting a psychology degree every single time that you're going up against someone. Because you are trying to read your opponent. You're trying to get inside their mind. You're trying to understand like the deepest recesses of their darkest fears and their wildest dreams and hopes. Because that's what is going to guide you throughout the set. Like genuinely, obviously I'm making it a bit more grandiose than it is in reality.
Well,
but
we've been using traditional sports references. It's the same concept as boxing. You're trying to really get into the head of the person who's standing across from you, trying to hit you in the head.
Bingo. Like, if my opponent sees me standing in front of them holding shield, does that scare them? Or does that
I'm the shield.
invite them? Bingo. Thank you. Do I do this? Or do I do this? Right? Do I grab or do I punch? What's the reaction? Because every player has their own bad habits. And every player has also good habits. You want to try to acknowledge those and download them quicker. Whoever's got the faster figurative internet speed, they win the duel. But that on its own does take a level of fundamentals that, not every player has reached yet. So that's what it comes down to. It's the first step is, of course, just can I get back to stage? Can I effectively recognize the proper combo tools, the proper moves that my character works best with? And then it's how quickly can I understand you as a human being and tear you apart from within?
With that being said, thanks for hanging out with us and having some patience. Airbud had some on-air interference, so we're trying to get those technical difficulties worked out. Hopefully we'll have the game back to have the conclusion of our day. Is that right on cue? That is right on cue, and we're going in real hot, D-Lo.
It's our friend Buck Snastinator on John R. Rogers getting sent to the Shadow Realm off the left side versus the Morton being played by Hatman. No hat to be seen, so again, a bit of false advertising, but I do love me some Bowser Jr.
I'm with you on the same regard, but what I wish we could have seen, obviously, that initial kind of get-go, because so far, I feel like the aggression of these players has done a good way of sort of painting the picture of the scene that we can expect. But already, it looks like there's less value on that stage control and more to the edge, which is your sign of being high-tier play, as I've come to learn. But the recoveries, they're so clean already, and with that being the difference maker, there's no easy way out of this one.
Yeah, it comes down to who actually can hit the sticks better. What I'm seeing, though, is an unfortunate reliance on the crash cart right there. That Koopa cart is an incredibly good move, but if you rely on the spin out, there's multiple options you could take. You could also jump out of it, Anthony. That's a far quicker and actually more flexible option. When you crash and spin out, that right there, the jump. I want to see a lot more of that, because when you spin out instead, you're committing very hard to a very dangerous move, and you might be dying for a big spike. They're gone.
What a read, too. Perhaps most importantly, that really snuck up on us there. That kind of left me perplexed. I thought for a second the recovery was going to be there, and I was ready to be so impressed by it, as they both kind of got stuck in the same situation on the ledge. But instead, no, not the case. Bucknastinator just looked nasty.
Yeah, makes sense. Got the name for a reason. Is worth noting as we step into our second game here as well. John R. Rogers, thankfully on their side, they do have the supreme victory already within their grasp, having that 8-point differential. So Naches at this point, like in a sense, again, we talked about how that pressure is reduced off you. Also in that sense, the pressure is now off them in that they can lose this one with grace and still try to just learn some things for their own record.
Yeah.
But it would certainly
and
feel
try to have
good
some
to
fun
win.
in the game too.
Bingo. It would certainly feel good to win nonetheless. So I'm sure this Morton is going to try to do the best they can. Oh, maybe not a Morton. Now it's a hero instead. Sword v sword action.
I am down for that. I'm always down for a good, anime aura, just straight sword battle. That's always a good fun combination. I am still hoping for the day we get some on-theme character combats together so that we can just drop the whole Smash thing and go into a routine talking about how this affects the canon of whatever game it is. But off to the races for this one, and already you can kind of see an answer back and looking much more comfortable. My goodness.
They got a crit. Anytime you see Hero just randomly pull out the blue cutscene is because he just got a random chance to critically hit you. 1 out of 10 chance on every Smash attack, so like, why not? It's the bounce up, which is kind of funny. That little purple aura, that reflects every projectile that comes at him. Luckily for Lucina, she literally has 0.
Nice knockback on the landing, and let's mix it up again. Where are we going to? You have some time to think on it. Gonna choose snooze. It's such a fun, funny one to do as you take a nap with the fishes yourself.
Yep. Put them on sleep mode for a little second. And that menu is an interesting one as well. Again, talking about like having to read your opponent. Now you have to read your opponent literally and figuratively. Like, I hope you've done your summer reading, kiddos, because you gotta make sure
played against.
That menu is very important. You have to know what options the hero has. Right there. I see Sizz, so I'm going to not approach them laterally because I know they can throw that projectile out at any time. Boom. Now that red aura means they do increase damage and knockback.
How about the bang? You select that one. I'm guessing it's time to throw hands.
Bingo. Exactly. It throws a little small projectile, and then it just smacks you in the face and sends you up. The kaboom, however, is the really big one. And if you find that projectile, if you're on the receiving end, you could be in trouble. I see the kaboom, and that's what's going to be, but they don't catch him at ledge.
Let's go Hatchet Man and hatch away, but maybe not. The answer is actually coming back from the other side. What a fight back here. John R. Rogers not going down without a fight, now going for a bit of a juggle too.
Yeah, I was going to say, Bucknastinator just needs to close the distance. That's really all it comes down to. A very hasty recovery back on a stage, but unfortunately will cost them.
Read.
You can tell that once the gap is closed, Bucknastinator does have the edge. Unfortunately, now they also have a little bit of catnap. The bounce in their face, they wanted something disrespectful, and they got peanuts.
Now stuck on that ledge. How do they get back out of this one? It looks like the control is so strong there. Finally a way to get it around, and picks the psych up right after, but still can't get onto the stage.
Because, Anthony, they're refusing to go to ledge. It's fine. Just do it. It's safe. It's warm. It's nice. But they will finally get back up, not without eating a ton of percent, though, in return.
Remember how high up, or how low, rather, it was when we started, but now caught on the escape, and that'll do it. That one turned out much more different than we expected, but John R. Rogers, man, what more can you say?
It's the idea that they understood what to do. Lucina's the true anime protagonist. Hero, you're just you're the B plot, buddy. They were doing a good job at keeping them on their toes with the menu options, but again, the issue becomes that if you close that gap, your normals, your A buttons, how good are you at those? If the answer is not very, it's going to be kind of toast to a player who understands the fundamentals a little bit better. But nonetheless, a solid attempt. John Rogers, they'll take it.
John Rogers does indeed bring it home. I mean, they do all that, not just thanks to Zotac, who we heard from earlier, Dilo, but from somebody else that's on the screen. This time, they're underneath your camera. Let's talk LANFest. This broadcast is a part of LANFest's Scholastic Esports program, a program that supports this league and many others. Since launching, LANFest has delivered over 300, count 'em, broadcasts to Scholastic leagues in Washington and in Indiana. We provide these broadcasts free of charge to the league, schools, and teams that get covered. And how is that all possible? By generous donations. So keep it up. By viewers like you, thank you. It does mean something. Every $200 raised covers the operating costs for one entire regular season broadcast. So if you appreciate the work that all of us have been doing today and around the entirety of LANFest, scan the QR code on screen and donate today. Super easy. Just bring out your camera on your phone. No need to have a special app. Scan it and it'll bring you right to where you need to go to donate. And we thank you ahead of time for contributing.
Open your hearts and maybe, just maybe, open your pocketbooks as well. But with that last thank you to our friends at LANFest as well as Zotac, that is going to be all we have for you here today. And we'll see you week 7 Smash action. A big congrats to our friends of John Rogers, to our friends on Naches, rather, better luck next time. They gave it a good attempt. They had some good moments, but at the end of the day, you got some good VODs to look back on, and hopefully they're not feeling too sore and sorry about that loss. I've been D'Lo, joined here by Malum in the booth. We've had our almighty eye in the sky, Mo Bugman, a.k.a. Taylor. Keep the broad lights on, that ham steady. Please thank our production for all he does. We cannot go games without him. And last, but certainly not least, thank you, loyal, obedient viewer, for your time. We hope you've enjoyed this series just as much as we have. Keep an eye to the sky for more WSSEA action coming at you in the future. And until next time, good games and good night.